Hi, my name's Kelly Gilson, and I'm the Executive Director of United Way Oxford. I invite you to join us on our new Let's Talk Local Oxford series. We'll share everything about United Way Oxford, our work, our partners, our investments, and how everything we do is designed to create positive social change right here at home in Oxford County. Not only do we want to share, but we hope to inspire you to join in our efforts and learn ways in which you too can show your local love. So, let's talk local, Oxford.
Woodstock Libro Credit Union is the proud sponsor of Let's Talk Local Oxford.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our first Let's Talk Local Oxford, and it's a whole new world for me. So be kind and be generous, because we have a exciting road ahead, and there'll probably be a few little speed bumps along the way. My fault, not my partner in crime here, and that's Mike Crabb, who is our resource development coordinator here at United Way Oxford, and he is producing this podcast, and he's the one who convinced me that we had to try that. So here we are, and we're ready to roll, and we're going to talk about United Way Oxford and what we do in the community and so many of the social service needs and issues facing our community, and just how we intersect with partners and supporters and investors and donors and everyone. And I think it'll be educational and informative. And you know, one of the things that we talk about at United Way is we want to shine a light on unignorable issues. And so we're going to do that. We need to shine a light. We need to talk about some of the things that are impacting our community so that we all have a better understanding, that we increase our empathy and awareness, and that together as a community, we can create change, and we can create the kind of community that we want for all of our families, our neighbors, our coworkers, and ourselves. So thank you for joining in, and together we are going to talk local Oxford.
Yeah, so hi, Kelly, and really good start to the podcast. And hello to our audience. Like Kelly was saying, I'm Mike Crabb, Resource Development Coordinator here at United Way, and I've been with United Way for nearly 4 years now, and I have realized over my time of being here that when I grew up, I grew up in Woodstock here, and what I had known about my community before coming in here and being a part of United Way, and what I've learned in my time of being here has been incredible growth for myself. And I realized that growth really only came from asking questions and having the opportunity to learn through the work we do. So when Kelly says that I kind of pulled her into this, she's not kidding. But I
She's not.
But I realized that we have a great opportunity here to help spread awareness of our community. And I just like talking with Kelly. So we thought, why not invite audience members to join us for these conversations? So today, what are we talking about today, Kelly?
Well, you know what? Before we even get to what we're talking about today, I'm going to, so first flub on Kelly's part is I didn't really fully do the introduction. And so not that this is about me, because it really isn't, but just for context, I'm a Maritimer, born and bred, but I have been living in Oxford County since 1991, and this is the community where we have been so proud to call home in that time. And my husband and I have raised our 2 boys and our 2 golden doodles, and this is our community, and it means the world to us. And not only have I had the pleasure of working in amazing organizations, I have had the pleasure of volunteering for so many organizations over those 30 plus years. So this community means a lot, and United Way means a lot, United Way Oxford to me. And I think that we want to be able to share that with you. One of the other, just a sort of a little aside that I will mention is I've spent my entire career in the nonprofit and or charitable sector. And so that, that work, really, that community development and that ensuring healthy community really, really matters to me. But when I've been in this role as the executive director almost 20 years now. And just before I accepted the position, which was just such a blessing that day, that opportunity, I remember when someone asked me if I was going to apply, thinking, I don't know. I don't know that United Way is really my thing. Right? I'm involved in other charities. I do other work. I'm not sure. And then I started doing research, and I started, investigating and realizing some of the things, some of the baggage that maybe I had were, those old rumors and those old wives' tales and those old myths and the misinformation and none of the stuff that was true. And when I started investigating and learning more about United Way, both the work that was being done at that time and what the future opportunities were, it was literally like this amazing opportunity that I just had to be a part of. And so I am incredibly grateful for the board of directors who hired me way back when. And I continue to be grateful for the volunteers and the amazing small but mighty staff team that help us continue to do this work as we constantly evolve to make sure that we are that community partner doing everything we can to help people create the best kind of community we can here in Oxford County.
Well, and it's actually kind of funny you say that. And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but it's funny. So you said, sorry,
we're bonding. Yeah.
When you started here, and you had those questions about the organization. So when before I started here, and I saw the job posting come up for the resource development coordinator, on paper I thought it looked fantastic, and it was like right up my alley. But admittedly, I kind of had those same hmms. And I didn't know why. And nobody could tell me why either. Because when I talked to my friends and family, they were all kind of feeling the same way. So it's interesting that over that gap of time, there's still kind of that And so what I had done before I even applied was I came and I met Kelly, and I wanted to sit down and talk with her about the role and get a little bit of a better understanding of the work that United Way does. And after meeting Kelly and understanding her passion for the organization and our community, it was an easy buy-in for me. It made so much sense, and I was so excited to learn more. So that's what brought me to apply, and also very grateful for the opportunity to be on this team.
Wow,
so
we're thankful you're on the team. And I really wanted to put that out there because this is part of the reason they've convinced me to do a podcast, is to really share information and to help the community better understand who we are and what we do and why that matters and how they can help us do it. And there's no point pretending that there are still sometimes these misunderstandings or untruths. And when people know the truth, and they know how to go and find information, good information for themselves. I mean, we always say we want our donors to be informed donors. Like, please, if you're going to make an investment in an organization, you want to know that they are doing the work that matters to you and that they're accountable and transparent, and that all of those things that really matter to us, those are values we hold dearly and deeply. And so we want you as current donors, as potential donors or volunteers to value those too. So go and look at good information. Go to look at for instance, for United Way Oxford, look at our website. Look at our audited statements. Go to the CRA site. Go to good sources of information to learn the real information about our organization and any others, because that really matters, and we can do better than sort of old history and old rumors guiding today's decisions, because we're better than that.
So knowing this and knowing that you and I share that similarity about our perspective before getting to know United Way and after getting to know United Way, why don't we start today's podcast talking about that and helping people understand the work it is that we're doing here and how it translates out to real support to the community. So
sure,
let's talk about that. So what do people know United Way as?
So, one of the things that that we say a lot is United Way is well known, but not known well. And that's, I think, really, really true. People know us, they know we do good work, they know that we are local, that we are Oxford, they know a little bit about, the work, and then they think of us as a fundraiser. And that was, that was a little bit about my hesitation. I thought, well, fundraising, that's hard.
Yeah.
And by the way, fundraising is hard. But it's not, it really matters, because without the funds, we can't do the work. And so when people think of us as a fundraiser, we are, like, we can't pretend otherwise. But that's where our story starts. It's not where our story ends. Our work is what we do with those funds, and how we distribute resources, how we make allocations, how we support other organizations and other companies in their goals to improve services, to improve supports, to improve really the health of the community. So that's the part we want to share with you, is how all of those pieces really do matter.
So the fundraising piece of this is huge, important. We can't do the work we do without the fundraising. And I've had it's been such a privilege to be able to go out to the community and work with so many generous people. And I didn't know a large portion of how we did our fundraising until I started working here. And so where I love my job so much is I get to go out and we work with dozens of workplaces across Oxford County that rally their teams together. And what I do is I get to go and I get to do presentations, meet the team. We get to share the resources of the community and what's available to people as they might need some assistance, as well as to kind of share what it is we do in hopes that they might make a donation through their payroll, so that we can invest that into the programs, into the community. And so that being one, facet of fundraising for us, I personally think is the most rewarding, because it's just so nice to get out there, especially over the past 2 years. Getting out there and just talking to people and seeing what's important to them has been great. So
what I think is so fantastic about that is we are so fortunate. We live in an incredibly generous community, and a caring community. We have workplaces, small, medium, large, and everything in between, all across the county, who run an employee campaign for us. And people may not realize, but about 65%, sometimes a little bit more, of our annual campaign dollars come from employees who make a payroll deduction off their paycheck week after week after week. And you know what? Whether that deduction is $1 or $10 or more, they all add up together to really have impact. And I, as Mike said, when we go out and talk to staff teams and different workplaces or service groups or all kinds of folks, I mean, we really want to be out there and sharing information, not only because we are fundraising and we do that work, to be able to have the resources to invest, but we want to share information with people. We want to be able to let people know what programs and services are available, what community issues are front and center, maybe what's just recently emerged. Where could they get help if they or a loved one needs support or resources? How can we make sure that people know that if and when the time comes, there's support for them and their families and their coworkers? And so it's a lot of information sharing, really. And then we want to offer that opportunity that we make investments in our community. Like, our work is really about investing in bettering our community and helping people create a better future story. And we hope that resonates with folks, and that they can come with us with their own investments, so that we can together create the kind of community we want.
One thing I want to throw in there too about my workplace presentations is often, I shouldn't say often, I've had the experience before where I've done a workplace presentation and sometimes there's somebody within that workplace that might be struggling with something very personal, whether it's an addiction issue or mental health struggles. And often you can feel quite alone if you don't have somebody to talk to about those things or even know where to talk to people about it. So when I come in and I talk about this is what we're doing to help with mental health and addiction in our community, people that might not know where to turn are picking up this information, and it's kind of like a nice little side effect of the presentations where they are getting the information they need without having to ask somebody, because it's a hard enough time for them as is. So to kind of plant those seeds in the community has been a really great part of it all.
It really is about shining awareness on these issues, letting people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And that there are supports and services. We have amazing supports and programs and agencies and staff across all areas, and we'll get to our pillars, I know, in a bit about where United Way Oxford in particular funds our strategy areas. But we do have wonderful community services, but often people just don't even know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we do fundraising through our workplaces like that. We host special events that people can come out and have a great time with. That does help raise dollars. We also do special events that aren't even about fundraising. For example, our Day of Caring that we host every year. That was kind of an aha moment for me when we hosted, I'm going to say my first Day of Caring. And just to see the opportunity. So what Day of Caring is we find we work with local organizations that need help doing things that can sometimes go unaddressed because it's not priority, because they're so busy doing the work they're doing. So, for example, landscaping and yard work, things to just bring some pride to their organization. For us to find volunteer workplaces that want to come out for a day, step outside of their four walls, get out there and help support the community, they can kind of get together. The only purpose of that is just to help spread kindness and awareness in the community. And I really like those days. I think it's wonderful, and the response from the volunteers is always very positive because it's nice to not work your work for a day.
It's a great opportunity to engage a team at work to literally roll up their sleeves, get out of their environment, whether it's off the manufacturing floor or out of the office for a day, and do good deeds. I mean, and those good deeds really matter because we all want those organizations who are often really, like, people don't realize, I think, how frugal most charities are, because what matters to them is the work, and they want to make sure that the dollars are going to the work and to the people that they are there to help, and they're not going to planting pretty flowers, and they're not going to spring cleanup or painting a new an office or all of those things that still actually do need to be done. So Day of Caring is a great example of really a program that United Way runs. And that's it's a great way to look at fundraising is a piece. And as I said, it's where our story starts. It's not where our story ends. Day of Caring is a program that we run, but I think it gives you a bit of a glimpse that we are way more than a fundraiser. We are a convener, we're a partner, we're a collaborator, we're a mobilizer, we do training, we provide resources and financial management, and we do so many things that often are not necessarily talked about or well known, but they're all little pieces of that bigger puzzle in our community.
None of which I knew before I started working here.
Me neither.
Right. So, and then also another major part of our fundraising is through our individual donors, people that love the work they do and they make that choice to help support us. And we're so grateful to everyone, businesses, organizations, individuals that come together to help us do all this work. Now we have all this fundraising, and we have the funds to be able to help support people. What do we do, Kelly? What do we do with that money that people have entrusted to us?
just before I get to that, I'm going to backtrack a little bit about all of the wonderful folks that give to us, because we really are. We are so fortunate to live in the caring, kind, and generous community. And we have people who have, especially over COVID, really recognized how challenging this has been for so many. And we hear all the time that we've been in the same storm, but we're in different boats. But we really are in different boats. We have individuals in our community that weren't going through COVID on a yacht or a cruise ship. They were in a dinghy or a raft, or right. It's challenging, and there will be tougher days ahead. And so the fact that people dug so deep, that they gave that little bit extra, even at a time for them when people were uncertain and there were so many unknowns, but people recognized that others were really suffering, and suffering maybe more than they previously knew. And so they were incredibly kind. And then when we have our partners like labor groups and our corporate partners and our agency partners and so many others who all come together to say, it takes a village. It really does take a village. And we are all parts of that village. And we're going to make the difference together. And we're going to invest. And we're going to also support and provide resources and do all of those things together. That's what makes us have a healthy village, a healthy Oxford. And it really does matter. So I can't thank everyone enough who has joined with United Way Oxford, to be part of our work, to be a part of our efforts to really change lives here in Oxford County. So thank you.
So now that we have a better understanding of how we do our fundraising, so what's the next step in all this? We want to invest this into the community. How do we decide what it is we want to invest this money into?
So that really is the work. Like, that's the heart and soul of the work of United Way Oxford, and of our staff and our volunteers and our board. And so we have three pillars, if you will, three areas that we invest in, and we have developed strategies within those where we have identified gaps or opportunities or readiness for change. But broadly speaking, those three pillars are moving people from poverty to possibility. We want to give people the opportunity for better lives, and within that, so that is basic needs. Obviously, we want to invest in that, and we consider basic needs a getting by resource, right? So if you think about whether it's shelter or food or some of those supports, all of which really matter. Those are things you might need today, but you might still need those tomorrow. And so those are important to do, but we also want to look at upstream, and we want to look at some root causes and how we can maybe prevent some of this work, some of these needs, but also we want getting ahead resources. We want to be able to be there to support organizations and their staff as they walk beside people who are looking for help, who need help, to create a better future for themselves and their families. I mean, so we look at that in from the poverty pillar. We kind of have those two lenses, I guess, when we're looking at investments. And then we look at the next pillar is healthy people and strong communities. And really, that is absolutely what we all want. We want a community where people have a sense of worth and value, where they are accepted and welcome, that sense of belonging that really matters, that they have a voice in the community that they live in, and that their voice matters too. We want to make sure that we have places and spaces for folks. And if there was ever a time when people didn't think places and spaces were maybe all that important, the last 2 years has really shown darn right places and spaces matter. People need to be engaged with others, and they need those places where they feel safe and welcome, and there's opportunities. And we also want to make sure that people have the kind of local, timely supports for mental health and addiction services. That these are, and there's a broad spectrum there, but these are issues that are happening in our community, that are happening in our families, that are happening in our workplaces. And what matters is that people can get help when they need it, that they can get the kind of help that they need, that it's local, so it's easy to access. I mean, access is a thing. Transportation issues are a thing here. And that it's relationship based, because people want to actually have those connections, those human connections to service providers, so that they can feel that warmth and support that they need to move forward. So that's our second pillar. And then our third is what we call all that kids can be. And really it is to ensure that children and youth and their families and their caregivers have the tools and the supports and the options available to them to ensure they have what they need, so that kids can grow and thrive and explore, and that they can move through their childhood and their adolescence to become healthy, productive, happy, well sort of adjusted members of society, that they have hope and opportunities for a better future, and that they have all of those things here at home in Oxford as they're growing up. So those are our three pillars, and we have amazing partners in each, and we adjust depending on community need and partners' needs and how we do those investments. But those are, at a broad level, those are the three areas where we know our work matters, because we're about the social human service piece in the community.
And in our future episodes, we do plan on delving into each of those pillars individually to talk specifically of what the needs and resources are for our community here in Oxford County for each of those areas. So stay tuned in the future, because there's so much to discuss around each of those pillars. So knowing that that's how we make our funding decisions and how we invest our money, but how do we know that? How do we decide that those were our choices on how we're going to invest?
So those are our high-level areas, obviously. And then we have strategies within, and those strategies have been developed based on work that we have done for many years now, and we call it community conversations. And it's really important for us. And it was a fundamental shift for United Way, our United Way, about a decade or so ago, when we realized we needed to be able to adapt. It's funny, adapt, pivot, recalculate, all of some of those words that are so incredibly popular right now. But back then we knew we had to make some changes, and we knew that we had to be able to be flexible and nimble to help with emerging issues and needs, as well as the existing issues and needs. And so we went to an open funding plan or opportunity, where when we put out a call for applications, it's quite a robust process, and we'll probably get into the details of that later, but any registered Canadian charity who's in Oxford doing the work in the areas that we've identified, who is in need of funds or in need of support, is welcome to apply. And then we have this amazing group of about 35 community volunteers who help us review the process it's robust, and it's quite fulsome. It starts in the fall and it wraps up in March every year. And we look at, statements of interest all the way through, and which organizations are doing the work, and do they have the capacity, and what are the outcomes of the work that they're doing. And so we invest where we believe the money is best used. We invest wisely. We think we know that really matters. It matters to us, and it matters to our donors. We are stewards of your money. We want to make wise investments that are going to have the kind of impact that we need in our community. And so not only do these amazing volunteers who have deep knowledge about all of these issues help us through that process, help us make the funding decisions once we have all of our applications and all of that, and we do our interviews, etc. But we then work with the organizations who we do fund to make sure that they are able to track their success and their impact and their learnings. That the learnings piece is really important, right? You can learn. Organizations always want to be learning. It's how we all improve to do better, which I think is certainly a common theme for all of the groups that we work with. We all want to be able to have the best impact we possibly can, and so we track all of that and we measure it, and we're able to see not just how many individuals or how many families or how many volunteers. Those things really matter too. So those are parts of that process of measurement, but also what was the impact and what was some of the results. And so we want to continue to adapt. We look at indicators, and we know some of those answers are very long term. Some you can measure today, and some it might take a decade before you really see the impact of some of that work. But measuring it does matter, and we work towards that.
When I in my first year, where we got to the point where the reporting was coming in on the impact of each of the programs that we were supporting, I was tasked with taking the information that the organizations were providing back to us to let us know how they invested, how the investment has followed through. And part of my job was to take that information and kind of make it clean to understand and process. And through that, I've loved it because I'm absorbing it as I'm pulling these reports apart, right? And what we do with that information then is we share it with our donors and everyone out there. So if anyone out there is interested in what the impact looks like, go to our website, unitedwayoxford.ca. You'll find an impact report there. Now, this is snapshots of the previous year. So it gives you some context for how many, like Kelly was saying, how many people we've helped and what that looks like. But also in the reporting, there's some things that I've been able to learn, which are more so stories about individuals and families and what
favorite part.
It's just, it makes what we do make so much sense to me, and it makes my job easier because we know that it's actually making a difference for people right here in our community. So that's been a really great opportunity to see. So check it out. And that's when I'm saying, like, ask questions and like get to know your community. When you look at stuff like the impact report, it helps with kind of understanding, because when you see the numbers of people that are being supported, you can see that that's clearly a need, and that those people are receiving that support because that need is there. So yeah, check out our impact report and kind of learn a little bit more about what the some of the end results look like from this investment.
And when I said earlier about being an informed donor and being an informed local citizen, that's a great opportunity. Go to our website and look at some of the videos. We have amazing individuals who talk about the impact of these services on their lives. And you can see those services, these wonderful partners, this important work, they are changing people's lives. And That's what we want. So you can see it firsthand. And so you can read about it in our little impact report. And there's like some numbers and snapshots and all of those things. And there's some amazing videos. But those stories really matter. And so I thank people who come to us willing to share their story, because it's not always easy to do that. First of all, these are deeply personal stories and deeply personal situations, and that's hard at the best of times. And then when you put a camera in front of someone, that's really hard.
Yeah.
And when you put a microphone in front of them, like kind of like now, that can be hard. So, people's comfort levels, like it's a lot. It's asking a lot for them to share. And when they do so willingly and so genuinely, you can see the change and the opportunities for our community right there. It's amazing.
Yes, it certainly makes it all worthwhile. Okay, so now here's what we're at. We know how we fundraise. We know how we want to invest that into the community. We know what we do to invest that into the community. So, and the results that come from all that. So there's kind of United Way overall. Now let's talk really quickly too about our board of directors and how we are governed.
Sure. So here at United Way, Oxford, when we say we're 100% local, we mean we are 100% local. The money we raise in Oxford County stays in Oxford County. It's invested in Oxford County. It helps Oxford County citizens. And the decisions we make on how we do that and how we use our resources and how we connect others and all of those other pieces of work that United Way does, all of that is decided by local Oxford County volunteers who have deep connection and passion and hold the community near and dear to their hearts. So we have a volunteer board of 15 members, and our board really sets the vision and sets the direction for our work. They monitor our work. They track. When I talked earlier about the values of things like transparency and accountability, and integrity and inclusivity and equity, all of those things really matter. Those are the values of our board members and certainly of our staff team. And our board tracks that. So, it's important that we have volunteer eyes on our work and hands engaged in our work to lead our efforts. And so they're an amazing group of individuals who represent a cross section of our community, all geographic areas of Oxford, all demographic. We have a matrix. We look for different skill sets to be really complementary. And what we really strive to do with our board, and we are so happy that we've really always been able to do that, is to have a diverse board of individuals with great vast differences in background and in perspectives. And so that's what you want. You want a group of people who have different thoughts, different opinions, different experiences, and they can share that. And that there's a table where they can come together to share that in a way that's really receptive, and that people can agree and sometimes disagree, but come together with that common purpose to do good work in the community and to support, obviously, United Way Oxford's good work in the community. So our board members are just fantastic. And then, of course, all of the other areas that we work in really rely on volunteers too. So we have volunteers, whether it's helping with the campaign, helping in workplaces, helping with our community impact investments, helping with all kinds of things. So we are as strong and as nimble as the incredible quality of volunteers who lend their time and talent to help us do the work we do.
So going back to the work I've done through my presentations, and I consistently get a question asked that I understand is an important question that people want to know, and that is, what is our overhead? So let's take a quick moment. Let's talk about United Way Oxford's overhead.
Sure. So let me just start kind of funny story. There's always the rumor mill and the sort of myths out there about, the executive director drives big fancy, Lamborghinis and has a plane and all kinds of stuff. Not true. Not true at all. But I think the overhead piece or the intent of that question does really matter. And when I say it's important for people to be informed donors, this is a perfect example. We all, we're donors too. We're donors here. We work here. People want to know that the money they are investing, because that's what it is. It's an investment. When you make a donation into our organization or others, you want to know that it's doing the work that matters to you, that you want to see done. And so, I think it's important, first of all, to say that we have oversight, as I said, from the board. So, we have lots of eyes on our bottom line, lots of eyes on our finances. That really matters, that accountability and making sure everything is, really going well and being used the way it should be and done the way it should be. But overhead, is more than just rent and hydro. Often people think of staff as overhead. But what I want to say is, whether it's United Way Oxford or any other charity, in many cases, staff are actually the program as well. So when I, talk about, for instance, for mental health supports, and people want to have a relationship and they want to have staff that they can connect to, it is the human element that is the programming in so many cases. And so I think sometimes there's a misunderstanding about what overhead actually is. So that's just a little bit of my soapbox on that. But going back to the question at hand is, what is our overhead? Our cost of fundraising and our overhead, which is, rent and hydro and a phone and the cost of auditors and all of the things that matter to keep an organization solid and successful and the kind of organization you want to invest in. We run anywhere, depending on the year, could be 16 to somewhere around 20%, 16, 19 and a half, in that range. And we're really proud of that, because we all, staff and volunteers, work incredibly hard to keep that number super low. Our goal is always to invest our dollars where they matter the most. And we are frugal in how we use dollars for sort of the basic cost of administration, etc. But there is a cost. We have to be very honest about that. You want to know that we have audited statements. You want to know that we have that kind of accountability and that we are responsible. Those things matter. And so, what I think people also might not realize is the Canadian Revenue Agency, we have to submit every year forms as an organization, and you can go to the CRA site and you can look at our charitable return, it's called a T3010 actually, or any others, and you can see, you can get good information. You can see a snapshot, if you will. And the CRA, which provides oversight to charities and certainly sets certain rules, they really want organizations to have less than a 35% administration or overhead cost, if you will.
So there's some context there. So like the 35%, the CRA says, no more than 35%. If we go over that, we lose our charitable status, right? And we're no longer an organization. So we have to maintain below that 35%. So for us to consistently kind of fall between that 16 to 20%.
We're about half.
There's some context right there. And also just to kind of piggyback of what you're saying, I'm producing a podcast right now. We work with local printers. We work with our community, and we do a lot of the photography and the things ourselves here in-house to kind of help manage that overhead as best as we can.
We do. I mean, I keep saying we have a small but mighty team, but we're jack of all trades. I'd like to think a master of a couple, but not. but we really do everything, and we do it locally because it really matters locally. When we have a picture, when we're talking about an individual story, we're talking about our people, our stories, our community. We work with local businesses when we do have to purchase services because that matters. But we also are so fortunate to have the incredible generosity of spirit of local businesses. So sponsorship, discounts, all those kinds of opportunities. We have volunteers. We have hundreds of volunteers. Those volunteers help us keep those dollars down because they're in the trenches doing work for us. They are organizing, whether it's a workplace campaign or an information session or a training session, like they are working with us to help us, again, make sure that we are really mindful of where our dollars always go. And then every year we are also, so lucky to have a sponsored employee for 4 months. And for us, that flips back and forth. 1 year, it'll be through GM Cami Assembly and Unifor Local 88, and they will select an individual who will come to us. And then the following year, we receive a sponsored employee from Toyota Motor Manufacturing Canada. So every fall, from September through to roughly Christmas, we have an extra person here in joining our team, like in doing anything and everything with us to be out there supporting our work and our community. And it's just incredible luck that both of those organizations, both of those amazing community employers, not only send a sponsored employee to us, but they send a sponsored employee with a vehicle and a gas card. So, even mileage, if you think about the cost of gas, and right now it's certainly through the roof, we, every fall, have access to something that helps us defer those costs so that we don't have to use our dollars, that those donor dollars can go elsewhere because someone else so generously is picking up that cost. So we work really hard, and we're proud of the fact that because of our dedicated volunteers and all kinds of wonderful opportunities, that we can keep our expenses as low as humanly possible, so that we can make sure that those dollars are invested wisely where they're needed the most.
Kelly, I think we have gone through a lot of what the work we've done here at United Way, and I want to invite our audience members, should you have any questions that came up today or things that maybe you want to hear in a future podcast episode, write us. You can send me an email at mike@unitedwayoxford.ca, and we'd be happy to touch on those things in our future episodes. What are we going to talk about next, Kelly?
I can't even believe we were just coming to the end of our first podcast. Such a strange world for me.
You did a really good job, Kelly.
Thanks, Mike. Mike has helped me through all of this. So it's actually been kind of cool. And for anyone who might listen, thanks a whole lot. But it's the same. If you have any questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, comments, we really do always want to hear from folks, and you are welcome to always pop into our office or email me, and I'm Kelly at unitedwayoxford.ca as well. And that engagement really means a lot to us. So we're always welcoming of feedback. But our next podcast, because apparently there's going to be a second one. Our next one, we're going to actually talk, I think, a little bit about community conversations. I mentioned them earlier in this one about how we use the information that we get from our community conversations to help guide our investment strategies and what we do as an organization. But there's a lot to unpack there, and some really interesting themes, and the way we go about doing it. And we're actually quite excited because we're going to be out doing that again soon, now that things are changing a bit and we can get back out and see people face to face again. So we're really looking forward to that. But it's a very valuable process, not just for us, but also we share that information. We share it with municipal partners. We share it with organizations that we not just funded partners, but organizations that we work with, that we might have relationships with. We share it with service clubs, book clubs, you name it. It's information about our community that I think is really valuable for anyone and everyone who's doing work in our community.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much. Kelly, you did a great job today. I'm excited to do more of this with you. But to our audience members, thank you so much for your support through the fundraising, through your... I never do this. So I want to take a quick moment to thank everyone for joining us today. Kelly, you did a really great job. I'm excited to do another one with you.
Thanks, Mike. Wasn't nearly as painful as I thought.
Yeah. You made it look easy, right? So we can't wait to have you all join us again. So stay tuned for more Let's Talk Local Oxford.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Local Oxford. If you would like to learn more about United Way Oxford, our work, our engagement, our volunteer opportunities, our partners, or to even make a donation, please visit unitedwayoxford.ca or call our office. We love to chat, and we really love visitors too. If, however, you find yourself needing a hand to locate a program or a service, please call 211, our information and referral service. They're there to connect you to local supports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Remember, 211, they are there to help. Until next time, join with us by showing your local love. We all could use a little more of that. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Local Oxford, proudly sponsored by Woodstock Libro Credit Union.